Hi everybody and welcome to this talk. In this talk we are going to discover the oVirt Ansible collection. So we are going to talk why we choose Ansible, what is a collection, what is an Ansible collection, and what we can do with it in this particular case, what we can do with oVirt Ansible collection. So let's start from the beginning. Why we choose Ansible? Ansible let us interact with oVirt API in a sane and declarative manner. So this means that we don't have to code the request part of the interaction. We don't have to code and manage the response part of the interaction with oVirt API, but it's managed by Ansible, by Ansible modules. So we don't have to write or read long and complicated Bash or Python script or whatever language do you prefer to write. That also means that we can integrate inside a playbook a variable, some file variable that we can manage externally from the playbook from itself. So we can reuse that playbook to make a more complex integration. We can add that playbook inside a role, another Ansible object that let us perform more complex action or on our infrastructure. With Ansible, on top of all of that, we can also manage our infrastructure or oVirt in a DevOps-ish way, because using Ansible Tower and the integration of Ansible Tower with a platform such as GitLab or GitHub or whatever Git server you may use, we can manage all the configuration inside a Git repo. So we can perform operation infrastructure operation in a infrastructure as a code manner. So more DevOps that normally we can do. So why we choose Ansible? This is why we choose Ansible. But what is an Ansible collection? An Ansible collection taken from the website of Ansible is a distribution format for Ansible content that can include playbook, role, modules, and plugins. Okay, so it's a way to package these objects, those Ansible object, playbook, role, modules, and plugins inside a single object. Okay. We could have done in different way. We could have done that putting inside a distribution package or something similar. But why? So do we need collection? Collection let product owner, in our case oVirt, the oVirt team, to manage our models, to manage oVirt models, to manage oVirt plugin externally of Ansible core. So this means that when we ask a new feature for our module, when we ask a new feature from our plugin, we don't have to wait the next release of Ansible. We don't have to wait to the next stable release of Ansible, but we have just to wait the release of our collection, our oVirt collection. So that means that the new feature that we are waiting could be available more faster than before. Also, that means that all the object we need, module, plugins, role, are all together in a single project, in a single package. So we don't need to get other dependencies. We don't need to search for another project. It's all inside a single project. So that is why we need Ansible Collection, and that is why we choose to use Ansible Collection. The only downside of Collection is that they are supported from Ansible 2.9, and they will be the default from Ansible 2.10. So after Ansible 2.10, there will be no other way to get a module if not using Collection. But this is for the future. This is just a reference for the future. So let's talk about oVirt Ansible Collection. oVirt Ansible Collection is a collection developed specifically to interact with oVirt, to take all the modules inside Ansible or all the role developed to interact with oVirt and put all together inside a package, a collection. So, where we can find oVirt Ansible Collection? oVirt Ansible Collection could be found on two platforms: Ansible Galaxy, where we can get the community version, or Red Hat Automation Hub, where we can find the collection made for RHV, but they are both the same collection. They work in the same way, they use the same modules, they use the same role, they are both the same collection. Just the Red Hat Automation Hub is the enterprise version of Ansible Galaxy. We can talk about it in this way, and it have the Rev collection that is similar, that is exactly the same of oVirt collection. So how we can install our collection? We can install our collection on our system using Ansible Galaxy. Ansible Galaxy is the tool to interact with platforms such as Ansible Galaxy or Red Hat Automation Hub, and we can simply launching the Ansible Galaxy collection install ovirt.ovirt command install the collection inside our machine. Simple as that. If we are using Ansible Tower, we can configure Ansible Tower to import oVirt collection or RHV collection inside the platform when executing the playbook or the role that requests it. So simple, nothing particular, nothing magic, nothing particularly difficult. So what we can do with our collection? With our collection, we can do everything that we already could do with the single modules or using the single Ansible, the single oVirt role. So let's see just some example. We can create an example. We can create disk or upload ISO on our platform using the module oVirt_disk. This is a module that we already can use inside our system. So we can already use it while performing our playbook. And we can use a module like oVirt_VM to create our virtual machine, to create our configuration for our virtual machine, and perform the creation of the target VM. So we can use this module to create a virtual machine. We don't have to interact directly with the API. We don't have to interact directly with the web console. it will do everything. All the work will be done by Ansible without our intervention. So let's see a video to see this part. Here we are going simple to see that we have one virtual machine, the hosted engine, and we are going to see our playbook. In this playbook we have the first part where we set all our configuration inside the playbook. All the Ansible playbook to interact with oVirt will be targeted with localhost. The target of the playbook will be localhost because it will not work on the remote machine. It will not work on oVirt manager, but it will make from the local system to the remote manager all the requests using the API. So for this reason we have to perform authentication using oVirt underscore out. In this way we can perform the authentication, get the token to perform each request that we may need to use our modules. Another point, interesting fact is that at line 6, where we are going to import inside our playbook the namespace of our collection. So we are going to tell Ansible to use the collection called oVirt.oVirt, so we can use directly the module inside the collection using the short name and not the longer name. The longer name is, by the way, oVirt.oVirt dot name of the module oVirt underscore out oVirt underscore disk oVirt underscore VM and so on. So importing the namespace of our collection at the start, at the beginning of our playbook, let us to use the modules with the short name without any problems. So we define our module, we configure our modules, and we see that we can perform the configuration of the creation of a virtual machine. At the end of the playbook, we have to perform a deletion of the token of the authentication. So we have to perform a logout of the from the platform. So let's run our playbook using Ansible playbook, and let's see what it will do. So it do the creation, the load of the virtual, of the storage, and the creation of the ISO on oVirt, and we can see that it will do a creation of our VM. We can see that effectively it will start the creation of the VM. Now just jump a little bit further to Okay, it will perform the creation of the first VM. We can see that while the first VM is created, the second is started. The creation of the second VM is started, and we can see that when finished, we can easily go and see the configuration of our VM, see the configuration of our newly created virtual machine, and we can also go and open our virtual machine, open the console of our virtual machine, and see that it could be in started mode. So we can connect, we can perform some operation inside of our virtual machine, or our newly created virtual machine. So this is the creation of a virtual machine. So we create our virtual machine, and we have a new machine in our system. But if we want to configure this machine, this new machine, or if we want to configure using Ansible all the machines that are created inside oVirt, how can we do that? What we can use to get from oVirt all the list of virtual machine, of the EP of the virtual machine, to perform some action on them using Ansible. We can write a custom script to get all this information, but this get us make us to interact directly with the API, with the oVirt API. We have to code a script, we have to code something to ask the information from oVirt API, get this information and provide this information to Ansible. This is not what we want. This is not something very easy to do. We have to know a programming language. We have to code something that do all of this. So what we can do? We can use an inventory plugin that is inside oVirt Collection. An inventory plugin that let us get dynamically the IP of all the guest VM inside oVirt. And the same inventory plugin let us configure configure how to split all the virtual machine in different groups. So Ansible will have a list of groups where we can use to perform specific action on each virtual machine. Let's see an example. And let's see the configuration of this plugin. This is a simple configuration where we set the URL of our oVirt, the username and the password to connect to our oVirt, and we create some groups using as method to separate, as method to split the VM. We use the tag method. So we go to get the tags inside our system, inside our the tags of our virtual machine, and we we create groups from them. So we put this configuration inside a file, and we can use it with Ansible. Let's go and see an example of that. Let's go and see this one. So we have already our three virtual machine. We have the hosted engine and the two newly created virtual machine, and we have this file, this file of configuration that will tell Ansible to use this plugin to perform inventory operation. So we are going to use Ansible inventory tool to get the list of inventory of object inside our inventory, and we'll see that it will create three groups with the test, with the prod, and the ungrouped group to set our virtual machine, to split our virtual machine. Okay, so this is the inventory plugin. But what about the Ansible rule? Ansible rule are objects that let us perform complex operation, more complex operation than using the single module of Ansible for oVirt, of Ansible Collection for oVirt. They are deprecated. No, Ansible rule for oVirt are not deprecated. We can find them inside Ansible oVirt Collection. We can find them and we can use them as always to do cluster upgrade, create a template, do infrastructure operation, and so on. There are different rules that can us do a different operation, and we are going to see just a little example of using a cluster rule to do a cluster upgrade. So how we can do that? We can create our playbook where we set the namespace of our collection. We set some variable that will be read by the rule, and we tell Ansible to use this rule that in this case it's the cluster upgrade one. So we set this operation, and this rule will make Ansible make a cluster upgrade on our system. So we are going to see a little example of that. Let's see this. Okay. Let's see this. We see that our cluster is not upgraded. We configure, we take our playbook that will use the cluster upgrade rule, and we simply launch with Ansible playbook our object, and this one will perform an upgrade of our cluster. So this will upgrade our host, each of our hosts, to the latest version. And this operation we can easily find it inside our system. So we can see that it will do an upgrade of our system. So this is what Ansible Collection let us do inside oVirt. So what did we see inside this little talk? Inside this talk, we saw that collections are cool and easy to use, and oVirt API are cool, but Ansible Collection are better to are more indicated to communicate with our platform, with oVirt, and let us manage our platform in an easy and declarative way. So easily we can create object, we can create our object easily without any problem. So this is all. So if you have any question, you can write me at my email or my colleague email. And thank you for listening. Goodbye.